Okay, the other area of the researcher dashboard is the My Projects overview. The My Projects page presents funded and unfunded projects. If it is a funded project, we have an awards management system, the AMS, which is a relatively new system at Lincoln, where all funded research projects now must be recorded. So what you can see here is a number of recent projects I've been involved with, and they're just represented on a timeline and listed here with their project ID. I'll just show you an example of the awards management system. And the kind of information that it contains. If I show you this example, the on-course project was a JISC funded project that we finished in January 2013, and this gives you a summary of the project information. Well, we're using this system, which has a set of APIs, to pull this high-level project information out of the AMS and represent it in the researcher dashboard. And you can see here this summary and the funding information. This is not re-entered by the researcher, it's entered in the awards management system and then it's displayed within the researcher dashboard. Before I continue with the on-course project and demonstrating the researcher dashboard and the workflow, I just want to show you if the project is unfunded. At the moment, unfunded projects are not recorded in the awards management system, but they can still be recorded and managed within the researcher dashboard. And here you can see that if it's a funded project, we prompt the researcher to fill out the information about the project in the AMS. And if it's an unfunded project, then we ask the researcher for some very basic high-level information about the project. Now, over time, as this is used, I'm sure we'll expand the kind of information that we ask people for, but at the moment this is what's required to set up an unfunded research project on the dashboard. Okay, so I'll continue with my example of on-course. It's a project registered in the awards management system. It therefore automatically displays in the researcher dashboard. And what the project page on the researcher dashboard does is try to bring together project information and project outputs, and that includes data sets, and also we have some simple role management so that we can assign people to a particular project so that it appears in their researcher dashboard when they're signed in. You can see here that publications relating to the project are automatically displayed in the dashboard. When a researcher deposits a paper in our ePrints repository, they can enter the project ID. Here's a conference paper that was presented as part of this project, and they enter the project ID and the researcher dashboard will then know to display it as part of this project. At the moment we don't have integration with DMP Online, but we are working with a digital curation center to achieve this, and before too long this section in blue will prompt the researcher to use DMP Online, and if they've already used it, it will also recognize the data management plan and have a link to it in the dashboard. So project information, data management plans, publications and data sets, and project staff are all displayed here. I've already done it with this project. If this were a brand new project, there is a button here which allows the researcher to create a space in CCAN for the project's datasets. Now if we just go off to CCAN, we can see here that this project already has some datasets. It has 4 datasets with a number of resources attached to those datasets. This is CCAN version 1.72. We intend to upgrade to version 2 of CCAN before too long, but we've held off doing that until it was released, and we intend to make greater use of the new organisational features and role management within CCAN. At the moment, though, we're using CCAN's group functionality to group together datasets relating to a project. So when a dataset is added to CCAN, it is discovered by the researcher dashboard and displayed here under the datasets panel. You can see that I've already submitted 2 datasets, or deposited 2 datasets to our repository, our institutional repository, and I'll show you using this example here how that's done. Just some of the thinking behind this workflow. So we have CCAN as an institutional data management system, and CCAN acts as a data store that allows relational data to be held and queried. It's a repository for datasets, and it's also a catalogue, but we recognise that researchers will be using CCAN to store, analyse and work on data throughout the research project, but they will not necessarily wish to permanently preserve or disseminate all of that data. And from the institutional point of view, we felt it was useful to be able to distinguish between research data that remains the researcher's responsibility and data that the researcher wishes to deposit with the institution for long-term curation and preservation, and therefore data that the institution has taken some responsibility for. And the way that we mark that handover really of responsibility is by publishing a record of the data in ePrints. We don't transfer the data to ePrints. The data remains in CCAN. CCAN remains the data management system, but ePrints holds a formal record of that data. So I'll show you how that's done. We click the Publish to Lincoln Repository button, and here it's going to ask for some mandatory minimal data, metadata for the dataset, and this metadata is required not only by a DataCite to obtain a DOI, but also by our institutional repository. It fulfills the minimal requirement for metadata for those systems. Over time, I'm sure that we will change and expand this, but at this stage in the development of the dashboard, we're just requiring minimal metadata. I'll just fill out some of this information. These subjects, these are JAX codes. Our repository uses the JAX classification system, and so we are automatically kind of looking up that classification system, which is held in our data warehouse. Keywords can be added. and we add a division. We can also add people as well, and then we publish the dataset. It goes to DataSite and retrieves a DOI and then publishes it via SWORD2 to ePrints, and there's a message at the top of the screen that confirms that. If I just go into the project, you can see now that that organisational structure has been deposited in ePrints and is listed there alongside the other datasets and publications. If I just go to ePrints, I can show you that dataset. Here we are, we have that organisational structure. It's under review. As all deposits in our repository, they go through a review process by a cataloguer in the library, and so it's waiting for review. I'll just look at that deposit. Those are the people involved. It's a dataset, obviously. Those are the subjects I entered and the divisions, and there's the DOI from the DataSite service. So that's the deposit, and then a cataloguer will look at that and publish it. That's the workflow. It's a quite simple workflow. The dashboard loosely brings together the awards management system, staff profiles, CCAN and ePrints, and tries to make or present information from each of those systems coherently. It's still early days in terms of development of the researcher dashboard, but we think that it demonstrates the potential that this kind of integration of different systems can achieve, and also points towards the richness of the information that can be collected through such integration.